For this show, we bring you back to an event held in March 2025, organized by C Junction in collaboration with A New Burma. Titled Fragmentation, the photo exhibition by Nyein Chan Aung was hosted at the Bangkok Art and Culture Center. Through haunting images of displaced teachers in Karenni State, the exhibition paid tribute to their resilience and unwavering commitment to education despite war and loss. It also featured a panel discussion titled Where are the Schools? Education and Fragility, which explored how educators, communities, and the NGOs are adapting to the challenges facing Burma's education system amid ongoing conflict. In the episode that follows, Insight Myanmar podcast virtually transports listeners to the event launch, where you'll hear from a variety of voices who took part in this powerful gathering. Please note that the sound quality may be different than past shows, as these recordings took place in an open, vibrant space of the exhibition hall rather than a soundproof studio. We made the conscious choice to prioritize presence over polish, trading perfect acoustics for the raw immediacy of being there in the moment, surrounded by the people, energy, and urgency that gave this event its depth. And so with that, let's listen in.
My name is Tim. I am primarily a graphic designer. I've been working with New Burma for quite some time as a graphic designer. And I've also been involved with the curation process for a few of the exhibitions before. And for this one, I'm one of the co-curators.
Thank you. It's great to have you on here today discussing your work. And if you can go into, because this is an audio platform, people listening now can't see the work that you're doing in as much detail as you can describe your vision for the curation of this, as well as some of the background and details behind it.
The exhibition is called Fragments, and it's a series of black and white documentary photographs from a photographer called Nyein Chan Aung. And the two series, each of them is about stories of two teachers who are, one of them is in an IDP camp, and the other one is in, it's also a civil refugee center, refugee camp-ish place. And these are, both of them, the flow of the story, the curation process, it follows the story of these two teachers, but in very different ways. And each of them tells pretty different stories in a pretty similar situation. So when we were selecting the photos, to be honest, one of the main targets that we had was that we don't want any of the photos that looks a bit pretentious. we want the photos to feel as real as it can be, and so we really prioritized on picking the photos that makes us feel something. And there are two series. The first one is called Home, and Home follows a teacher, and unfortunately in one of the airstrikes, he lost both his wife and his child. And it's a really sad story. It's super emotional, and getting into it, it was a bit hard for us to really understand the story behind all of the photos as well. It's quite heartbreaking. But what we don't want is also, we don't want to turn the story into something that I'm not sure how to put it, but we just don't want to take advantage of the story and put it into the public and be like, hey, this is an event, you should, and we simply just want to tell the story of these people.
You don't want to sensationalize it.
No,
Right.
absolutely, yeah, exactly what you said. And the other one includes really heartwarming photos of children having fun, having playing around, being drawing, and studying, being bored in class, and all that. Really being themselves, being children. One of the key points that we discussed during the curation process is that we want pauses in between photos. We want clusters of different photos, different groups. So especially for that, the second one, the lamp between smoke and bullet and smoke. For that one, we really just want to show the daily lives of these kids, and unfortunately, staying safe, keeping themselves safe from airstrikes is also a part of their daily life. So we printed that one big, and that's the only photo that we mounted. And we made sure that there's space between that photo and the rest of the series as well. Yeah.
It really strikes me, you saying you want to show their daily life and without sensationalizing it and having children as children everywhere. And yet within this daily life, you reference that airstrikes are a part of this new daily life with school. And so to what degree have you been able to learn, in a sense, how Burmese school children are normalizing an extremely abnormal event of airstrikes coming down and raining down at any moment? How have they been able to deal with and process that?
I mean, I cannot even imagine, right? To be quite frank, I was never in that kind of situation myself. And it's heartbreaking to know that they have to go through it. One of the things that they said during the interview that we did with them was that for us, school bells are associated with, classes starting, school ending, school beginning, the beginning of the day and whatnot. For them, if somebody's ringing the school bell longer than it should, like if it is longer than a minute or so, it's basically an airstrike siren, and they all would run to a bunker. What do you call them? A ditch. Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's one of the things that they normalized, and it's sad, but that's the reality.
Mm-hmm, right. So you referenced the photographer that was behind these this exhibit, and I wonder if you can tell us a little bit more about him.
All right. So the photographer, he is originally from Yangon, and well, as in he used to be based in Yangon, and then after the coup, he moved to Karenni State in 2024, and he has been documenting of different lives in Karenni State, and this exhibition is one of the results of his hard work.
And what was your own first personal reaction when you started coming across these pictures that were coming to you?
Well, as I've mentioned, the two series made me feel very different things. There's a sense of nostalgia as well for us seeing these kids. Like, there are a few photos of them interacting with the teacher in class, or there are those little subtleties that we had experienced when we were in school, and seeing those pictures as a little bit of nostalgia, and then like again, like children being children, it's just really heartwarming. It's great that they're still having some sort of education during all this, and it's really heartwarming to know that there are people trying to create this kind of safe space for children, and it makes me feel really nice with a mix of sadness, of course, like seeing all the tragedy that's happening as well. And then the other series is quite shocking because that series captures the exact moment when the tragedy happened, the devastating moment for the community, right? So it's and I was reading through the captions, the text that the photographer has given us, and to be really honest, it made me feel really sad, and it was not easy for me to even like go through all of the photos, all of the captions, and then putting them together along with the other curator. And it's always a bit of a mixture of feeling, because yes, it is sad and devastating, but also at the same time, these people are being very resilient and like they're staying strong, and they still carry hope, which also made me question, right, like how much suffering does someone has to go through to lose all the hope. But it's impressive the way they are still carrying on to hope. And one of the subjects from the series, one of the teachers, he said that, well, being a teacher is all I know, and I just lost my home, I just lost my family, but because being a teacher is what I would like to do, that's what I'll be doing. That's what I'll keep doing, which made me feel really, it's quite wholesome, it's sad. I wish I can give him a hug. Yeah.
There's so much emotion in all of that, and it also strikes me that, can you have a greater contrast between the innocence of children going to school to get an education and the absolute destruction and devastation of airstrikes coming without warning? What possibly could children pursuing an education do to deserve such horror coming to them? You really couldn't find a greater contrast between this innocent and this evil clashing with the children at the center of it and in harm's way and as victims. And you're sharing these real stories from a photographer who also took risks to himself to go to these areas to get these images out and then get them across the border to us. And they're being shown in Bangkok, which is not that far away from this stuff happening. In Bangkok, a land of Starbucks and malls and traffic and subways and everything else, and yet not very far away, you have this primitive scene playing out of absolute evil coming day after day with the military flying these planes out, international attention, 4 years being unable to stop them, and no one will deny the horror that's taking place beyond just the empty statements of international bodies saying that these things shouldn't happen. No one listens to that. And so you're bringing this in a very visceral way to a Bangkok audience. What is it that you want to leave with them? What do you want to evoke or inform or engage them with what you've put together as they're going throughout their lives and hopefully stumbling into this story that's taking place really not very far away from them?
Yeah, it is, well, it's a great question. It is something that I've been thinking both personally and as a group with New Burma as well. Why should we keep doing these exhibitions, right? What do we want out of it? The most straightforward answer would be, even if someone else become aware, that I think they could potentially add to better. They could potentially contribute to moving this resistance forward, right? And honestly, okay, we can never know what people will take out of it, right? We can curate the exhibition however we want, but people look at it, people take whatever they want out of it. But especially for this one, we just simply want to share the stories, I suppose. I mean, for me at least, it's and as you said, it is quite contrasting about these children. And in the photo, the one where they are taking shelter in the ditch, a few of them seems to be smiling, even these children, because for them they're just running, taking shelter, and oh God, like nobody should have to go through that, right? Nobody should have to normalize any of that. So one of the things that I want people to realize in Bangkok is also that this is still very real. Believe it or not, a lot of my friends still ask me, my friends, my colleagues, sometimes I guess they just want to make small talk, but they would ask me, oh hey, how's the situation in Myanmar? I heard it's getting better. Like, I wouldn't say so. It's really hard to tell. Perhaps, yes, perhaps. But this is still, like, all of this is still happening. And also the world is a mess, right? Like, a lot of things are happening every day all over the world. And I just feel like not enough people are talking about what's happening in Myanmar. They're not aware, they don't know. And it feels a little bit like we're taking a step back, even because when the coup happened in 2021, everyone was talking about it. We were doing things to raise awareness. And even in 2022, the exhibitions and events were more or less about raising awareness and all that. And then in between, there was a little bit of a weird period of time that people get tired of hearing the stories over and over again. But also things felt like raising awareness felt like old news for us. But now I think it might be time to do things with the intention of raising awareness again. At least for me, if a few people, I hope, or even if one person who saw the exhibition, they felt something, they want to know more about it, they want to check in on someone, I think that would be nice. I know that this topic, these things, these subjects, it's hard to look at. It's hard to it's hard to see them. Even for me, I mean, I see the news every day. I do keep up with the news, but sometimes all of this feels quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right. But I would say this exhibition, you will still feel. I believe that people will still get to feel the genuine hope that these children have. And if you just look at these photos of children smiling, playing around, being children, being silly, I think I think the viewers could potentially get something out of this exhibition, something that they might not have felt before, something that they might not have thought of before.
I'm Nicola Edwards. I've been working on Myanmar since 2009 as a teacher trainer, education management, curriculum developer, but I also do research, particularly looking at ethnic areas of Myanmar.
Right, and so today you'll also be joining a panel to talk about a particular aspect of your involvement in Myanmar and a particular concerning issue in the last few years. If you could share about that issue and your background and involvement in it.
We're going to talk about education, and obviously there are a lot of challenges about education, but while we know the challenges, we recognize the challenges, there's a lot of coverage of the challenges. Connected with the Fragments exhibition, the photos of the schools in Karenni State, we want to show as well the creativity and the innovation and the solution-focused, future-focused strategies of the Myanmar people, not only in Karenni actually, although that's what the exhibition is about, but across Myanmar. And so for me, because I write a lot about education in Myanmar and because I research ethnic areas, and I'm particularly interested in ethnic areas, and I'm very committed to a New Burma and their work, that is why they've asked me to be part of this exhibition and this panel.
I think it's really interesting because there could be the crisis where you really have the devastation in all sectors of what happens, but then in crises, there always are historically opportunities to be able not just to have resilience and innovation, but also to be able to find new solutions that old systematic ways of thinking didn't necessarily apply. And that's particularly true in the field we're looking at in education. So I wonder if you can talk about both the devastating part of what's happened to education since the coup, and then some of the resilience and the innovation that stemmed from that devastation.
Okay, that's a lot. Starting with the devastation, the strongest example is airstrikes. The SAC are deliberately targeting civilian architecture, which includes schools, which includes health centers, for example. So that's the most devastating thing. And there was the horrific massacre in Sagaing where they destroyed a school and killed, I think I'm right in saying maybe 72, 76 people, including children and teachers. Also, there are a lot of photos, including in the exhibition, of children studying in bomb shelters. So that's the result. Now you cannot have a school without a bomb shelter. And obviously that's devastating to see. And children in the jungle studying. But it's also important to remember that children in the jungle studying, fleeing, is not new in Myanmar. It's not just since the coup. The Karen have been doing this for years. KECD have been operating schools in the jungle. You often see people doing their exams in the jungle, for example. So this is not new news, actually, but to see it across Myanmar is new. Other devastating things are like, I have heard that from a few different sources in different areas, a few different friends, that actually in displaced areas, maybe sexual SGBV, sexual and gender-based violence is increasing, particularly of children. And I recently heard about some really horrific stories of children being murdered from an IDP camp in one area of Myanmar. And I've also heard about quite a few of these things increasing in IDP areas. And so there is a lot of devastation and also displacement. So for example, I don't know the percentage of people in Karenni that have been displaced, but I believe it's around 75%. And some of them were displaced into southern Shan State. So they were displaced by conflict already and horrific airstrikes, horrific violence. And then they were displaced again by the floods last October. And so people are being displaced again and again and again, and they're losing all of their possessions again and again and again. And this obviously disrupts people's lives, but also education for the children. I mean, I feel like we can talk about that for quite a long time. So maybe let me move to what you were saying about changes in systems, for example, and the kind of hope that comes out of destruction. And one is the decentralization and localization and finding new solutions to local areas. So again, like I said, Karen have had a parallel education system for a very long time, and their education system is fully parallel. They have, for example, child protection policies, equal opportunities policies, curriculum, assessments, ways of moving through the curriculum. That has been going for a really long time, and they know exactly what they're doing. We're seeing this happen more in other areas of Myanmar now. I find it particularly exciting that as soon as the coup happened, the Ta'ang took control and created a new Ta'ang Education Committee where they're working to develop education for the children in their areas. A massive focus on service delivery, which is not necessarily seen everywhere in Myanmar. And so I've been really excited to see a new ethnic education provider. And also as Ta'ang territory expands, we're also seeing the Ta'ang Education Committee grapple with what to do if the people in your area speak more than one language. So before it was Ta'ang education provision in Ta'ang areas with Ta'ang people. Now they're in Shan areas, for example, Lahu, Lisu areas, so they have more children, and that's causing some challenges, but they're really trying to recruit teachers, provide teacher training, teachers from other ethnic language groups, I mean. So they're doing their absolute best to try and manage these new challenges that they hadn't had before. But they're also, they're really trying hard, even where there are some challenges. For example, in Kut Kai, there are some challenges between Ta'ang and KIA, and the children are kind of caught in the crossfires of that because both Ta'ang and KIA are closing schools in different areas or occupying schools. And so they are preventing education from happening. They're politicizing, in fact, because they're prioritizing conflict over children's education. Some other interesting things is that in Nyein State, for a long time, Nyein children learned their language through going to church, through Sunday school and going to church. And although as part of the National Education Strategic Plan 2016 to 2021, although there was local curriculum content where states and regions had the opportunity to develop curriculum for their areas, the lessons in local languages were only for grade 1 to 3. And so that wasn't really developing children's language or literacy in their mother tongue in the way that they should see. And Nyein ethnic groups, Nyein NGOs were not developing the curriculum. They were not, their priority was not to develop a new curriculum. They were at least satisfied with the national curriculum. And when the coup first happened, they were just viewing themselves as a stopgap viewing themselves as they were just kind of filling the gap before the revolution is won. And now we're 4 years in. They've been providing education to tens of thousands of children in Chin, in the jungle, with no power, with limited connectivity, but they're still operating schools in the jungle with CDM teachers. And now we're seeing them developing more of a mother tongue and more mother tongue education and adapting history. So we're seeing language and culture and history change for Chin people in Chin State, which better meets the needs of the local community. So again, it's really exciting. And the other thing is that pre-2021, meeting Ministry of Education officials in Naypyidaw was extremely challenging and extremely bureaucratic and not very easy. And like a ship, it was very, very difficult to change course. However, now there is real opportunity for advocacy and support to really promote and develop more communicative curricula, more like change history, change history curriculum to better reflect Myanmar's truth.
You know, as you're saying this, it's we're talking about this flip side of the coin of devastation and innovation. I'm reminded by what other guests have spoken of in terms of just two things that come to mind: public governance and resistance and creative resistance in general. And those that have been in those fields from those lenses have said, you know, the Burmese are light years ahead of us of what we know, of what we're thinking, of what we're capable of. They are light years ahead of us. They are inspiration. They are our light. This is a story that's not getting out as much, and this is something that, you know, stories take different narratives. Narratives are sometimes are filled with information that is partly true, partly flawed, partly biased. And one of the things we're trying to do with our story is to correct this narrative and to bring out a different kind of narrative there. And as you're speaking about these innovations in education, it's making me think in this way. You are a lifelong educator, a teacher trainer. You've, I presume, have worked around the world in different contexts. You're coming from Western models. And I'm sure that from your training and background, you have a lot to give and a lot to share. At the same time, I imagine that you're also seeing certain kinds of innovations and adaptations that I would dare say in this same model of public governance and creative resistance are light years ahead of what we are doing and what we're capable of doing. And this is one of those moments where we can flip that narrative in terms of not just seeing the devastation and the destruction, but the sense of what is happening in response that it would barely be capable in other contexts and places. And you're shaking your head vigorously as I'm saying this. So if you could share your experience in seeing how they've been able to adapt in that way.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been thinking recently is that basically we need to rethink education, because from my Western background, I imagine a school as being a building with qualified teachers, with a national curriculum framework, with assessments moving forward to go to university, for example, or become an engineer or a plumber, whatever, something like that. And actually, this situation is making me rethink that. So yeah, I am a teacher, I'm a qualified teacher. I've been teaching over the world, like you have said. I believe in teachers to be qualified. However, I was also thinking, again, pre-COVID, there were a lot of challenges in Myanmar of teachers who were from Bama areas, were Burmese speakers, for example, being sent out to ethnic areas like Chin villages, for example. And in those villages, they didn't want to be in a Chin village. They didn't learn the language. They couldn't communicate with their students. Their students couldn't communicate with them. The parents couldn't communicate with them. So there were real problems. And they were qualified teachers with a national curriculum and a school building. And now I find myself just thinking that in Myanmar, they are going to the actual point of education, which is to support children to develop, to learn within their communities, to learn their language and learn their community history and culture, but also to protect the children, to keep them away from work, for example, keep them away from dangerous work, to stop them from, for example, fighting, joining the CDFs underage, for example, CDF, PDF, depending on Tien, wherever you are. And what we're seeing is that, for example, an auntie who never finished school is providing education for a group of children in her house. Many people have said about health and schools, actually, if we build them, they will bomb them. So they can't build a new school. They have to try and not attract any attention from the air. So and they don't want to show that there are a lot of group of children, for example. So they are having, for example, grade 1 in this auntie's house and grade 2 in that uncle's house, for example. And and maybe these community members, volunteers, they're not paid, they're not trained, they probably haven't finished education, but what they are is committed to the children in their area and really wanting, even in the chaos and the devastation, they want to provide the learning and the stability and the hope for the children in their communities.
That's fantastic. It's really inspiring as well to hear from in our place of safety and privilege, to be able to hear those stories.
Yeah, and it makes me quite emotional because it makes me amazed that people aren't just kind of turning over and like hiding under a blanket and refusing to do anything. They are deliberately and methodically supporting their children to have hope for the future and to develop their future. And I find that, inspiring and amazing. And this is why we all work in Myanmar.
It must motivate you so much.
Yeah. I really, it makes me want to do as much as I possibly can to support. And I understand that donors have a bit of a challenge getting their heads around this, because donors absolutely have the frameworks for funding. And KECD, for example, the Karen Education and Culture Department, like I said, they've got their curricula, they've got their teachers, they've got their buildings. They have their very clear systems. It's very easy to see that you should fund them. But then auntie, for example, who's not qualified and is just teaching a handful of kids in her house, it's harder to justify that to donors, or for donors to justify that to their governments, because it's much harder to comprehend and harder to understand. But because auntie, for example, if auntie also has to feed her children, she also has to support her family. The economic crisis in Myanmar is so intense. The price of everything is so much higher. Auntie has to have some money. So she might need to go to work in a city, for example, to get money to send back for her family. And so maybe she can't afford to teach voluntarily anymore. And that's really problematic, because if she leaves to go and work in the city, the children don't have a teacher. And if the children don't have a teacher, they don't have the stability and the structure to kind of keep them occupied and keep them focused and give them hope and some kind of sense of, I think hope, and a sense of there is a future point, like we're not giving up. And I think and that's what I mean about really needing to rethink education, because the alternatives for children, if the community volunteers aren't teaching them, I think is pretty concerning. And if they lose this opportunity for education, then maybe they'll never come back to it. And we're already seeing immense numbers of young people go overseas to work, like whether it's here in Thailand or Malaysia or like the Dubai, for example. We're seeing so much of that. And if everybody does leave Myanmar, then who is left? And what does that mean for the country?
You know, as you're saying this, it reminds me of my own training throughout Myanmar. And I have a couple memories come to mind. One time I was in a village at a community library teaching, and there was a set number of participants who came and learned. And then outside of the community library we were in, there were just villagers lining up to stand by the windows and and they were present the entire time, just peering in to try to just get anything that was being said. Another time we were at a hotel complex that was empty during low season, and we were doing another training, and the hotel staff, because there wasn't a lot there, all the hotel staff, the entire staff sat in the back with notebooks, taking notes of and I was doing teacher training. I wasn't teaching English, I was doing teacher training. And in both cases, when I would ask what they were gaining from there, the answer was basically just, this was an opportunity that was present for me to be able to learn anything, and I was not going to miss this opportunity. I was going to get anything I could from this opportunity by diligently sitting there and just whatever I was able to gain. And of course, this was before the internet came. Internet's also not even so prevalent now, but even less so then. But just by being able to, having so few touches with learning that would come, that when those touches came, not only did they want to absorb it as deeply as they could, but they then wanted to imbibe whatever that learning was and share it to their community for the benefit of everyone around them, because they knew how truly rare this was. Myself, as an educator and teacher trainer background, I'd never heard of or experienced anything to that level. And you're talking about wartime now. This was years ago. Now we're talking about a country engulfed in active conflict where they can't even build their own schools, and yet they're finding places they can learn, even if they have to have ditches nearby they can run into. So it's truly just remarkable. And I thank you so much for being able to check in and share with us your thoughts here. You'll be joining a panel a little bit. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Patrick. He is a medical doctor who's currently serving in Karenni State.
Yes, actually, now for the condition, now we have been facing in current situation in Karenni, not only in Karenni State, for the whole Myanmar, the conflict has been intensifying more and more. So it would not be a very happy moment. So, but it reflects so much on the realities, what was happening on ground, not only in Karenni, but this is specific on the Karenni State, education sector, healthcare sector, and also like the humanitarian sectors. It really much reflected on the realities on ground. Because I have been also in on-ground situation to provide the services. So now, recently, today, we have some airstrike bombing to civilians areas. So that was really tragic moment for the current situations.
Right. So it's interesting. You're bringing these sectors together. You're talking about education and health and humanitarian, and talking about how all of these different sectors in Myanmar right now are facing similar challenges, and also trying to innovate and have resilience in similar ways as well. Can you expand on that?
Yes, of course. Actually, education and healthcare sector cannot be divided each separately, because we have been working together on ground too, and also trying to claim the resources from international funders or to get the private donors. So education and health sector is aligned to provide the services for all people. In education sector, not only for because there was a sector education sector, so we have to collaborate each other on ground and also online to exile too. So I wish I considered about this is because the military is specifically targets on civilian institutions, especially healthcare, hospital, and also the schools. They really intentionally focus to strike down. So that was really hard to tell how to adapt that situation, because when I was on ground we are just used to it, and then maybe I feel like afraid, very really frightening, and yes, but we didn't see anything from the airstrike coming or the artillery coming. But after that, if we remind ourselves, oh, we are not dying, we are not dead, so oh, it's okay, and we will be happy again. So day and day, after day by day, so we are just living with that trauma and like with that's tragic stories. But we will be happy after we know ourselves like we are not dead, or we are not dying at the moment. Yeah.
So you yourself, you have been in airstrikes.
Yeah, of course. Maybe more than 10 times, or I nearly almost died at the time. When sometimes they really intention for the airstrike. They are coming at the midnight, like 12, or like sometimes at I think it's 4 a.m. So when everybody is like slept in our bunkers, or some are like in a village, or some are in the camps. So when the airstrike is coming, we just hear the voice of like airplanes. But when we heard the voice of the airplanes, we don't have a time to bend down, or we don't have a time to go to the bunkers. This is not real situation. When we heard the voice of the airplane, we can't do anything. Just they are already bombed here, so we don't have enough time to go to the bunkers and bend down or something like that. So it's just upon the God. But after family, because I almost been dying, and I also broke my bones on the legs. I have been like treated for the 1 month on my, I think, right side. So fun, because I was running down to the bunker, and I slipped down and fall down. I slipped. So I have been faced many times about like that injuries, and also have. But my mental is not like just traumatized. But when I come to the Thailand, I live in near the airport. So I heard about like the voice of the airplane. My habit is like, oh, when I heard the airplane voice, I have to bend down. So in Thailand, although there is no risk in Thailand, but it's just a habit to be traumatized, and I did it again and again like this. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that there was one time that you barely survived. Can you share that experience?
Yes, I think that was a time in 2022. Yeah, 22. The military strike down more intensifying. At the time, I was in the hospital, and then at the morning of the 4 a.m., this is the nearest bombing area. Now my hospital has been destroyed because last year they have been struck down again. But my teammates like survived, and the patients are also like survived too. But luckily, yeah.
Right, and before the coup happened, I imagine you had no experience with any kind of this conflict zone before.
Actually, I haven't been into the conflict zone. But before the coup, my background is like from the student union, so it's like a political activist in Myanmar, actually against the military, because our history has belonged to 70 years dictatorship by the military hunters. So I was one of the leaders in the student union in my medical institution. So actually, I have been to the conflict zone, but we fight and we protest and express the freedoms of education and services, like the equal rights to the ethnic city, ethnic minorities, and also from the side of our education, as a student union leader, and also participate in some educational laws, and also hacker service law and regulations too. Yeah.
So this is quite a courageous decision that you made after the military coup to leave from a place of relative safety and privilege, although of course nowhere in Myanmar is like that, but to go from whatever kind of safety and privilege you had in an urban area and go into the jungle in Karenni, which was a very active conflict zone, to be able to bring medical attention to civilians. So what can you walk us through how you made this decision?
I think it's like the autonomous reflex, because I can control I can control my attitude because I'm born with that mindset. I really appreciate to my father and mother too, because in our culture, the parents are like really control the children, but they don't do like to me. And then I really appreciate that because without their support, I can't continue my part, what I have assumed to be my mindset especially. So I also participate and they never reject my decision. And so they also like continue to adapt and to be resilient also, because when I was participated in this political situation, the military is like scouting to me and like surveillancing to me, not only to me, not my family too. They also like running away and hiding from somewhere, and then also they are surviving too. But that is my choice. I never talk about like I sacrifice or I never sacrifice. This is my choice. This is my choice to do. I know the consequences of what will happen, but that mindset I can't change myself. I can't let my mindset change to another comfort zone or something like this. If I decided to do this, I will go to the end. Yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible to hear, and I'm just wondering, when you make the decision, you go to Karenni, you face all kinds of difficulties in Karenni, you're having airstrikes and obviously lack of comfort and danger and everything else you're facing there. And as you're going through that experience, was there any part of your mind that was thinking, okay, well, I've done enough, I've helped out as much as I can, now I want to bring myself back to some kind of safety and comfort? And how did you balance your dedication to want to help in the way that you were with basic survival instincts?
Yeah, I think on the ground situation, I am not the only one to survive, because we are just living with the community. That community is you have to sympathize. You can sympathize their community. They are more vulnerable rather than us. Maybe we are just like, we have some family members in the urban city, they are safe now, but in that region, like conflict zone, they are like really, everybody is vulnerable in population, but they are more vulnerable at a condition. If I consider themselves like my parents, if their grandfather and grandmother, they would be my parents, how can I feel? I can let myself to go outside and not treated the patients. So where do they get the services for their health care? And then I sympathize myself as my parents. And then I never let myself give up. And also my colleagues also. Sometimes, sometimes we feel depressed, but our teammates like drinking together and some have some fun. But that would be like be more resilient, be holding together. We are coming together to be here. That reflects the solidarity, and not only that happiness, that just having fun, but also like just encouragement from the community. They are really passionate and they are really welcome to us for providing the services. Also, I think the subjectical mindset of like these motivations and drive our minds to continue further and further until the end. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, right. So you're here observing this exhibit, this exhibition of photographs showing the education happening in difficult circumstances. As you see these photos, are these evoking and depicting scenes that you encountered during your time in Karenni State?
Now there is more intensified when I was being in Karenni. Actually, I think these photos are like that may reflect too much realities. But in not only in education but also in health service, because I have been operating so many trauma injury, the amputations, the blasting of the belly and their intestines, so many blood all over the ground, and so. But it's just for like not too much reflection, but on ground situation is more intensifying rather than the photograph.
Yeah.
But that is more intensifying rather than I have been experienced before, because the airstrike is coming every day. Actually, today afternoon, the airstrike is strike down to my hospital again. But luckily, our healthcare service provider and colleagues survived. The patients are escaped because of we built a bunker, and they missed the artillery is a miss. But everybody is scattered around and fragile situation, so they contact me, and I feel like how can I mitigate themselves? Like I feel like that, but sometimes we can prioritize our emotion. Sometimes we have to be objectively mitigate the plans, how to transfer the resources for the preparation of the survival or something like that. So yeah.
And do you have plans to go back to the hospital?
Actually, yes. I think next month. Yeah.
Right. Because this exhibit is focusing particularly on children and education and the difficulties of education in conflict zones in Myanmar now, I also want to ask your hospital and treating patients, to what degree have those patients been children that you've had to treat that have been affected by the airstrikes and other violence?
I think most of the children are attacked by the airstrikes, artillery. We have been treating too many children because they are intentionally strike down to the schools. Some can survive, some are not survive. Sometimes, most of them, the vulnerable population, especially the children, are dead on spot. We can't save. Sometimes there has a cut down or divided into two parts. How we can save that moment. So, but sometimes we don't have, because there are so many patients. We don't have to be emotional at that time.
Yeah.
We have to prioritize other patients who are critical in conditions. But the children, they don't know anything about how to bend down, how to run away. They don't have so much experience. But so maybe most of the children are dead actually on the ground situation. We cannot save them because they shot. Sometimes when the military groups have been invading to our area, so they have been shot not only in body, just headshot always ever. So we can save how to operate in the jungle. How to open the brain. We don't have so much resources to save them because we don't have any facility and resourceful condition to save their life. So there are also the barriers too. So most of the children cannot survive, but some the minor injuries or the major injuries, we can operate the belly. Open the belly and just get a bullet or some materials from the bones. We can put it out, but most of the children are dead on the spot. Not only the children, but also the civilians later in 2024 and 25. Most of them are dead on spot.
When a bombing comes, this is indiscriminate. They might be bombing knowing it's a school, but the bomb is just dropping. But you describe that children with headshots being shot with a gun to the head. So this is not indiscriminate. So just to make sure I understand what you're saying, are you suggesting that Burmese military soldiers are coming on the ground into ethnic areas with guns and intentionally assassinating, murdering children with headshots?
Yeah, I think they are not they kill everyone except them, like this one. They don't have friends, or they don't have I think they are just zombies. Zombies can see you are humans, or they except them, other people, the rest of them are their enemies. So even if they are children or under 16 or not, sometimes the 5-month baby, they don't know. They are zombies. They shot everyone, even if they are under 5 years old, or the woman, or the pregnant person, or the elderly, they don't care. And then they shoot everyone except them. Yeah, that's the realities.
And so you've been personally to some of these villages where these massacres and murders, these mass murders have taken place. You've visited you've seen with your own eyes the aftermath of this.
Yes, of course.
I don't know. I just don't know. I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, they are like the massacre, the condition has happened. We are just like for the forensic perspective, we operate their bodies. So sometimes they cut down their knees with the hammers or like, and then the near shock with on the inside the mouth, and the brain is busting out. And we operated everybody dead bodies. Especially also the religious person also. In our bolder monks, they also shocked them, and then bless out, we operated the body. They are really intentionally torture, not only the kill, the torture again, and then until they are dead, they are dying. So we operated so much, and we have some bullet from their factory of the machineries. Yeah.
I mean, as you're saying this, I'm getting emotional just hearing that. I'm holding back tears as you say this. None of this is new for me. In terms of hearing it, I've of course never been close to this physically, but just hearing your descriptions, I'm holding back my emotions of how, of just the terror of what you're describing. So I can't imagine. I can't imagine what it's been like, what it was like for you to the first several times you encountered that, to have to physically encounter this and manage your emotions with that.
Yeah, because actually when we feel like depressed or like sometimes we desperate, at the night or at the night moment, but because, in the vulnerable areas or vulnerable with the crowded populations, the hacker service is heavily necessary or mandatory. Sometimes we wake up at the 2 a.m. to get a normal delivery of the chamber. So we are just full with our tasks, our duties, and then we never get an emotion. We don't have enough time to get an emotion. We always focus on fulfilling the duties and fulfilling the survival of the vulnerable populations. But sometimes when we just reduce our duties, like there are no so much patience, when we feel like we miss our homes, we miss our brothers, and then we have to play the guitar and sing in a song. Sometimes we pray, sometimes we make some foods to give to the patients, and also we eat ourselves too. And sometimes we celebrate like the 1 month anniversary of the hospital opening or something like that. And also sometimes we celebrate our birthday. Each of the team members' birthday we celebrate, and then we just been having. So we adapt like that, and then but on the other side, we have been working consistently, because we don't have a free time. Sometimes when we are really frustrated, and our hospital, for example, really is frustrated and exhausted, so we coordinate with the other hospitals. So in the next 2 weeks, we will close our hospital. So you will provide the services for this area, and so we will coordinate with another hospital. And then also their hospital are frustrated or exhausted, so they will close down, and then we will continue the proceedings or providing the treatments instead of them. Yeah. Like this coordination is also on ground situations.
Right, and just staying with the children that are being impacted, again, because that's part of the theme of this exhibit. Of course, you have those children that are murdered outright, discriminately or indiscriminately, and then you have those that are saved. It must be absolutely horrific physical pain that they undergo on the operating table for those that are saved, and saved maybe without their whole body intact. And then there are those who physically may survive, but mentally and emotionally have lived through the trauma of seeing bodies of their parents, of their peers, of their siblings, literally torn and ripped apart. And so, the level of the human toll of this devastation in every aspect, it's unspeakable.
Yes, of course.
Well, I thank you so much for opening up about your experience and for what you do. I mean, you're bringing an extraordinary modesty, but you're and a humility, but you're a hero for what you do. And I know it might be hard to hear that, but I think I speak for listeners when I say that. So I just thank you.
Yes, actually, I'm not consider myself a hero. I'm just one of the civilians who decides myself, who based on my decision. Actually, this is what I want to do. No pressures. This is my chosen path. I know the consequences. I accept it. I just did it. What it would be, you know. So there are not only one me. There are so many people like me. Some are like more sacrificing rather than me too. There's some are like that. Some are like living and continue their services because I have so many friends and colleagues on ground in Karenni, not only in Karenni but also in Myanmar, like Sakai region and Rakhine also. So they are my brothers and sisters. They are also one of the heroes who are like participated consistently and very bravely and courageously to risk their life by providing the services to save the lives, and also the frontline healthcare service provider also.
I'm Mya Hein. I'm working as the student unionist since 2017-18, and like from the minority background, and then I'm living in Yangon. I have to meet lots of people, and they have different ideas and different mindsets. But I notice is most of the people around me are treating me in very different way. Like it's very different from my relatives and family. They're very different from me. So like the way they treat me, the way they communicate me, it's quite strange. I feel like it's happened since I was young. So I'm just curious about it, why they are strange on me. So and then I find out a fact. This is what we are not saying in religion. This is the main fact that the people treat me like that way. So for me, I'm from the middle class background, and my parents are educated people, and then educated persons, and they want me to read about it, and then they support me about my curiosity on it. So then around middle school time, I'm really interested in books of politics and the movements of the student union. So this is the main factors that makes me to be a student unionist in my campus. So I'm working as a unionist from 2017-18, and then as also from some Muslim student groups and the other minority groups. So before the coup, it's a really hard time for us against the military, and also to address the problems of the government. We seem that time is the so-called democratic time, but we have to say something to them about the affairs that happening in that time, about the military, the brutal oppression to the people from the different regions like Rakhine or the northern part or the southern parts of the country. We demanded for the better conditions and the real democratization that time. But as you see, we failed. But in other hand, we are carrying in the other form of the movement with lots of people in our side.
Right. So what was your experience in coming to the student union and joining the student union as a minority, and particularly as a Muslim? I know for any student to join the student union, there are all kinds of dangers and challenges that one faces in doing so, but especially coming from a marginalized community and the violence against the Rohingya and the Muslims, especially during that period. So what was your experience like there?
For me, let's separate the campus as parts, right? So the atmosphere of the student union is the more fair and more equal area among the whole area of the campus. So I feel like I don't feel like I am the part of the union and I'm the part of the whole student movement 100%, but I feel like I can involve very well, and they are welcome me. I don't feel any hesitate to join the movement and to join the activities of my student union and also the other student movements among the younger. But like as I said before, it doesn't make me feel like the way it's 100%. It doesn't make me feel 100% all the time. But the part of the student unions is it's really good, and this is my dream since middle school. So I just want to go to the campus for some reason, like hanging out with my friends and talking with them, and to be a part of the union at that time. For my time, for me, I arrived to the university after 2016. So it's a quite good time for the student union in Burma. We are very free rather than the before 2010 or like that. So we can participate student union well, and we can arrange lots of activities among the students. Like some of the activities are political, some of the activities are more related with the campus life, kind of. So I feel like I'm the part of the student union, and I'm the part of the movement. By my own experience, it will be very different from the experience of the maybe a Brahmin student.
So you felt included?
Included.
Yeah. Were there other Muslims that were involved in the student union?
So in my student union, maybe from the Central Executive Committee member to the activities, lots of Muslims are involved in.
Yeah, it's very interesting because you described from an early age how passionate you were to want to join the student union, even beyond just going to college and being a college student. Very specifically, you just had your sights set in this dream that you wanted to be a student union member. So what was it from a young age before you even attended college that made that sense and that excitement of joining the student union so appealing?
The main thing is being me. Like I'm the minority groups, and in my area, we are very small groups, and we like for my middle school time, it's the real hard time for us. Like it's around 2016-15, and it's around 2012. So at that time, we can see lots of state-sponsored terrorism on the Muslims in Rakhine, in Mektila, in other regions of the Burma. So in my middle school, some of my friends, so they are singing the extreme nationalist sound, and they treat me very differently after a very famous nationalist monk visited to our town. I'm from the small town of the Yangon, and so after the visitings of that monk, things are changed to me. So, and then I am from the minority groups, and then I have to listen, and I can hear about the government and the military all the time since I was young. So, and for me, being in the small groups and living in the very small towns of the Yangon, and the crime and all of the stuff are happening when I was young. So my parents want me to stay home. So I find out the way books are the very good experience for my young time. So the combinations of my own experience in school and on street, and the experience from the books combine me and to want to be more politics young people since I was middle school. But and then also the parts of the higher education movement in 2015. I'm the matriculation student at that time. It's really that movement captivate my me and my thoughts at that time. And then after that year, I arrived to the university, and from since 2012 to 2015, the targeted violence to access was happened across the country, and then I knew that we have to change this, and then I found the politics as a tool to change all of that I have to suffer.
And then how have things changed in the last few years since the coup, and you've had to leave Myanmar for your safety? What kinds of activities have you been involved with since?
Yeah, things are changed to me since the coup was happened after 2021. Like that, all of the other young student unionists, all the politicians suffered. So we have to stay away from our home since the coup was happened. So we have to move place by place in Yangon. But I leave the Yangon since March of the 21, and I moved to the liberated area. And I feel like more safety in that area, except from the airstrike and the missile from the military side. So, but the things is really important between that 2 months after the coup. I feel like Yangon is I feel like that time was the best time in Yangon. So we can do anything at that time, and people are very patient at that time. So there is no traffic police and there is no police on the street, on the road, but they are patient to each other, they are kind to each other. They feel like a very, very big motivations are driven to all of the people in Yangon. So they are participating in protests, they are participating in the movements, they are participating in every activities of the Yangon. So you can ride a car free in the evening of Yangon. So you can participate in the protest. You don't have to take a food from your home, and you don't have to afraid of are they bus arrive to my place in the midnight. You don't have to care about that. So like for me as a leftist young group, member of the leftist young groups and the person, so the solidarity, it's the real solidarity time in Yangon. I'm really, really love that time. At the same time, we really have to afraid in the night time of the Yangon. So it's very different from the daytime of Yangon. We don't have to care, not a lot, but we do have to care in the night time. We have to afraid, even we hear sounds and the voice from the bike or the motor car. We have to take care of it in the night time. So these experience are really interesting for me after the coup, and the people, like, you can see the real solidarity in every people. So at this period, you can also notice about that people make apology to the people of the minorities, for the Rohingya people, for the minorities people, and they are trying to get in the help from the ethnic armed organizations. So it's a huge change for the Burma. So since when I was young, all the people treat me in very different way. We are outsider, or maybe they just use the river word as a bad word for the EAO. So things are very changed after the coup. But after the long time of the coup, you can notice that some of the change it's not proper change. Like it's the so-called apology to the minority. I feel like that way. I'm really sorry for that, but it's a way that we have to walk for a long time.
That's very interesting. How did you feel hearing those apologies when you heard them in the moment, and then after some time passed and people's behavior maybe changed, maybe didn't change, or maybe there's some variance there? What was that experience like in hearing those apologies in the aftermath of that?
Yeah, I have some privilege of reading lots of books and participating in lots of different organizations, so I can feel what's the real behavior of the groups of the people. So we do nothing about the social cohesion or something around between this short period after the coup. So that change are not real. It's very relying on the movements of the politics, and they rely on the social justice, on the military leader. For an example, people really want to take an action on the military leader from the international justice system. So they just show the solidarity to the people of the Karen, to the people of the Rohingya people, to get a chance from the ICJ or ICC. They really want it. So they just showed up their apology and their feelings. They show their stories, lots of stories to the minority group, but without practicing a proper social cohesion among all of us. So this is the really important about that. So it's not the fault of the people, like a super majority, like Burman people. It's not their fault at all. So they have to listen to the news from the military. They have to watch the military channels since they were young. So they are very familiar with the propagandas and the false news and the very bad perspective from the military. So this is not their fault. We have to make social cohesion and this real solidarity among the people. So from my perspective, I already expected that one. So I don't feel a lot about that, but we can notice that what the things can really make the people change. So the reality politics. So I have to show why the minority rights are matter for all of the acts. So to reduce the conflicts and sustainable peace, we have to get a chance to like everyone can participate in the political movements and the activities. So if we have the equal chance to all of the people, the peace and the sustainable development are the things we're raising for the whole country. I see like that. For the super minority group, I see like this revolution, it's a part of us. Also, we have the other parts that the other minority or majority or super majority can't see. So it's all of the revolution allow to demolish or abolish a system or an institution or institutions. But for the super minority groups like us, the way of us is more long than the other people. But like for us, we're not tired of it. We will try to reach our goals in the future. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so right now, I want to mention my name as MCP. I'm working at Myanmar Art Center, and that I have worked in the Myanmar Art Center since 2018, and that I'm a gallery manager, and I'm a theater artist and a writer, and then a cultural manager. Yeah.
So you're coming from a background of art,
Yeah.
and you've been involved in art for most of your life, and also before the coup. So I'm wondering, after the military coup in 2021, how do you see the role of art as being important for this revolution?
Yeah, it's a big art. I want to say about before the coup, because as you know, the Myanmar is, how can I say, they are transforming to democracy, but there are a lot of issues, you know. I'm also in the art and as working in the upper ground, we criticize our government and social justice, a lot of issues. We already do that. How can I say, not about like that revolution. We talk and so we conversation about the social justice and then Burmese military about that, and that's the issue of that Western Myanmar or something like that. Also that, and in this before the coup, around 2008, 7, 8, 20, it's because this is how can I say. The way of transforming to the democracy, we can express freely. Before the 2010, I think there is a censor or something like that, but the art war is a little bit free, and they can express freely, and they talk a lot. What this is justice, what is an expression or something like that. And then this is how can I say? I think this before the coup, 5 years is important for this revolution, the art movement, because they are practice a lot of how to express their freedom of thought and freedom of expression. and they know what is good, what not good, what is oppression, and they learn a lot. And connect with the international, what the other country do, and what we do. They are artists and art cultural workers. They think and they learn, and then they practice. And then after the coup, they practice this before coup practice is how can I support them? Because I know that I'm working as, how can I say, because our education system, our history, how can I say, I know the propaganda history, they educate, how can I say, being oppressed. But in this, after the coup, the arts and creativity is how we can criticize and how can I say, and then so we can advocacy about what happened in Myanmar, and through our creation and our artistic movement or something like that. Sometimes people, we can say something, I feel something, what happened is something, just say, just a talk and just a dialogue. Some people didn't, how can I, we cannot attract some people, but we do the artistic movement and creativity. Some people can, we got attention, and some people feel it through the art or something like that. And then I think the creativity is our soul, because through the creativity we can over our fear, because we practice. Sometimes I'm a writer myself. Sometimes I fear if I write about the industrial revolution and the area resistance, about the resistance. I write in the jungle. Sometimes I fear police catch me or something like that. But how can I say? I try to avoid this fear, because this is the truth. This is what I feel, what I want to do express. That's why, how can I say, I try to avoid the fear, and I write what I want to write. Yeah, this, I think this is important for our revolution, I think, yeah.
Yeah, right. So do you feel that after the 2021 coup, there was kind of this new level of artwork and creativity that started to blossom?
Yeah, because there's two things, how can I say, I think there's two groups that the artwork, because some people are talk about the art market or something like that, but in the cultural work art, I didn't do it market or something like that. I'm focused on what is how they can improve, what is create the art or something like that. I think this is other people in Myanmar know that these are, how can I say, they are believed, and that their standards broken. Everything broken. Everything broken, and then they have a lot of war or something like that. Socially, religiously, they believe something that after the broke up, they find themselves.
It's like a freedom, huh?
Yeah, it's like a freedom.
Yeah.
But how can I this cool? But they see the freedom. What's the freedom?
Yeah.
And then some people didn't care about how can I say rule and some law or something like that. They want to express themselves freely, and their vocal is rise, and they want to do, they don't care anything, religion thing or something like that. What they want to do and what they want to say it, and what they want to other people see or something like that. So this is really great. But after that, how can I say, before the coup or in the half democracy era, how can I say, government system is, there is no government system. but they had certain
Yeah.
they had but
yeah.
they had still certain
Yeah.
they cannot freely create freely. But after the coup, they had nothing.
Yeah.
They start. I think that it's like the reborn, but this with this, it's like the reborn with the pain.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's really good, and they didn't care about the religion, the other social norm or something like that. They create freely.
So it sounds like you're saying there's not only an openness in creating art, but there's also an openness in receiving art.
Yeah. There's a lot of receiving. They see a lot and something like that. And then in this time, I think in our art industry, there is, how can I say, the older generation, younger generation, how can I say, there's no connection I see. But in this time, the revolution in Generation Z, and then also the art for Generation Z also the blossom me, because in that part, in the some older generation, a little bit, how can I say, they influence the industry and the arts and after the coup, the new generation the blossom means, and they how can I say, people can see their younger generation's creativity because this how can I say, this creativity is before the coup they do, but people didn't notice because the international and the other country and something like that, the younger generation, some master award or something like that, people see they are famous or something like that, but they didn't see inside what generation, younger generation do. But after that, this is too spread. The revolution is with the Generation Z and the younger generation also blossom it. Because they do before them, but people didn't see it. And this time, younger generation is up with the revolution, I think.
Right. So let's talk about today's exhibit. What role did you play in today's exhibition?
What New Burma offer me, they do, how can I say, a lot of photography package, and then they want to talk about education and something like that. So I want to do like, because I also in the 2023, I'm a volunteer teacher in the Nyein Chan State, the region TNL control. I'm volunteer teacher. So I see the photo, I really love it, and because the people, how can I say, the internet, all the people can see that what's happened in our school and our education system, and they're struggling. Because through the picture, people can feel it, how they struggle to get the education. Some children and some teacher, how they struggle to, how can I, to maintain the school and education system. I want to, through this exhibition, I want to talk about what happened in the war zone and the education system and school, something like that. And then in the how can I say, because people in this 4 years, a lot of people hear and see what happened in Myanmar, but they like that it is still normalized. But they hear about the bullet or some firebomb or something like that. But they didn't see what happened in some art scene, war family or house of fire, ban or something like that. But they didn't know about the children and the school, what happened in this exhibition. I want to talk how they struggled, and I think that this is a new story of our, how can I say, our what happened in Myanmar, because people normalize, this Myanmar, there's a war, blah blah blah. But in this, I want to tell the new story about that. In this exhibition, we had two type of story. Some are hope, some are deeply pain. That's a hope and baby. We had hope, and then we had pain. That I want to talk about the theme in our exhibition. I want to say before the exhibition, and some of that undocumented school is arrested in the Thailand. In this after that, I curate the exhibition. I want to talk. Because we all Myanmar's children are deserve to get proper education. Because in the war zone, or they are undocumented immigrant, even though they deserve to get the good education. But the children, every children can how can I say? They don't want to laugh or smile in their kindly. They can smile and laugh freely. They don't know about the system, social or something like government, something like they desire to learn everything like the other children internationally.
In a world where Myanmar's crisis has largely faded from the headlines, critical voices and perspectives are often left unheard. And that's where we hope to come in. Through this humble platform, we're trying to provide something unique, an opportunity to share important experiences, insights, struggles, and perspectives in depth, and in a way that few other media sources offer. Our content not only keeps the sputtering global conversation about Myanmar alive, but it also brings much needed attention to those now fighting for their freedom and dignity. So if you value this work and the perspectives we're offering, please consider supporting us. Your contributions help us to continue to amplify those voices and provide the world with the coverage Myanmar so desperately deserves. Visit insightmyanmar.org/donation to stand with us.
Yeah.